What does $3 million really buy you in retirement? On paper, it seems like more than enough. But I can tell you that after building out retirement plans for Canadians who have between 2 and 5 million saved, the reality can often be very different. Some people spend way too much and risk running out of money, whereas others don't spend enough and never get to enjoy the lifestyle they could afford. And in almost every single case, taxes are the biggest expense that will eat away at your money meant for travel, family, and legacy. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how 3 million translates into income after taxes and inflation, why government benefits like CPP and OAS still matter, and what you can realistically expect to spend, whether that's $100,000 or $250,000 per year in retirement. So first up, we have Sarah. She is 55 years old, widowed, and retired. And she put together a plan with her advisor, and she was in no danger of running out of money in retirement, but just wanted a second opinion to make sure that her plan was as tax efficient as possible. So let's jump into it. So as mentioned, she has $3 million, of which $400,000 is in her TFSA, $600,000 is in a non-registered account, and $2 million in her RSP. Her advisor planned for her to start her CPP at 60. At that point, she'd receive about $844 per month, and old age security would start at 65, and she'd receive about $914 per month, assuming some inflation from now until then. She also owned her own home, which was worth about $500,000 with no debt against it. When it came to expenses, Sarah had different stages of her retirement, so there'd be different expense levels during those stages. So for stage one, which would be called, let's say, the go-go years, she'd be spending just under $11,000 per month from age 55 until 65. So higher expenses because she's doing more travel, so on and so forth. And then expenses from 65 to 80 would drop down to $8,500 per month. And then from age 80 until the plan's end, which we have going until age 90, that would be $6,000 per month. So when we take a look at Sarah's plan, based on how her advisor had structured it, she is in no danger of running out of money. So we take a look at her net worth here. The value of your home in green keeps going up over time. We're never having to liquidate it to fund her retirement. Her registered accounts in blue, TFSA in yellow, and non-registered accounts in brown. Her advisor's strategy to draw her portfolio down in retirement was to use the non-registered accounts first, just because in his mind there was no tax advantages in that account compared to a TFSA and RSP. So as we can see, in year one of retirement, there's no earned income, no CPP, no OAS yet, no withdrawals from the registered or TFSA. All the withdrawals are coming from the non-registered accounts. So that stays the same over the next number of years until age 60, CPP starts, and now the non-registered account gets depleted and start pulling from the registered accounts at that point. So with this strategy, again, the non-registered accounts get used first, and then it's the registered accounts basically the rest of the way until about age 88. Those accounts get depleted, and now we're drawing on the TFSAs. So with this plan, Sarah was right. They are in no danger of running out of money. The plan is actually 136% funded, so there's definitely room for Sarah to spend more there if she would like, and should be leaving an estate of $3.98 million. If you'd like to see how different withdrawal strategies affect your long-term plans, then check out our free Canadian Retirement Withdrawal Guide. It's available using the link in the description or the QR code on the screen, along with additional resources that could help you stay as tax efficient as possible in retirement. So the question now becomes, what strategies can Sarah implement to improve her situation even further? And based on her financial position today, she could set herself up to receive the Guaranteed Income Supplement. This is an additional tax-free benefit that you can receive once you start your old age security if you're able to keep your income very low. So the first strategy that we want to look at is to push out her CPP from 60 until age 70. Now, this strategy just on its own improves her cash flow by 3% in retirement, and it's also going to increase her net estate by $188,000. So again, this just strategy on its own has a good positive impact. And the big reason for this is that we are using life expectancy of age 90. And as we know, once you defer your CPP, you're going to receive more over the long run. Again, thus it's going to improve her net worth. But the real reason we want to defer her CPP from 60 to 70 is to keep her income as low as possible. Again, if we want to qualify for the Guaranteed Income Supplement, we need to have a very low income. So as far as our withdrawal strategy is concerned, What we want to do over the next 10 years is target a taxable income of $177,000 per year. Now, the reason for this is that it keeps Sarah in the 40% tax bracket. She is in BC, so we're looking at BC and federal tax rates. If her income goes above this, now we start paying additional tax higher than 40%, and we don't want to do that. So we want to keep her income, again, at that 40% threshold. Now, that's from the next 10 years until she's 65. Once she's 65, old age security is going to start, which means GIS can potentially begin as well if we're able to keep her income very low. So to keep her income low, we're going to stop all withdrawals from registered accounts and instead focus on the tax-free savings account or using some non-registered money, which would trigger potentially a bit of capital gains whenever we sell some of those assets to fund retirement, but nothing too substantial. Now, what is GIS? Again, it's a additional benefit that you can qualify if your income is low in retirement. So let's go through this calculator that's available on the Government of Canada website to see how much she could potentially receive. So she was born in 1970, February, so 55 years old today. Let's just say her income is going to be $0 at age 65. Again, there's no CPP, there's no RSP withdrawals happening. She is going to receive old age security, but that is not part of this estimate that we need to use. And she has lived in Canada since the age of 18. So as far as OAS is concerned, she would be receiving about $740 per month, and she would receive an additional $1,100 per month as part of the guaranteed income supplement. So again, if you're able to keep your income at zero, you do get quite a bit from GIS. Again, it's all tax-free. Now, in reality, she will have some income because we do have some money in a non-registered account, or there might be some dividends or interest generated. So let's just say she has an income of $5,000 per year once she is 65. So now we can see her old age security has stayed the same, but GIS is down to $835 per month. It's still $10,000 per year in tax-free income. So we want to add that to the plan as well. So we're going to have some guaranteed income supplement, again, starting at age 65 until age 70, $10,000 per year. So why up to age 70? Because once she's 70, CPP is going to start, so our income is going to shoot up. And at that point, we're going to change our withdrawal strategy again. We're going to go back to drawing on those registered accounts, and we're going to target a taxable income in today's dollars of just over $93,000 to keep her under the old age security clawback threshold. So by implementing this strategy, her situation improves quite a bit. So as we can see, the chart of her net worth has changed quite substantially. So over the next 10 years, we're drawing on the registered accounts rather than using the non-registered accounts. So the blue bars go down over the next 10 years, and then they start going up once she hits 65, again, because we're not drawing on the registered accounts anymore. We're instead drawing, in this case, on the non-registered accounts. So the brown bars there. And then once we hit 2040, she's 70 now. CPP starts. We're not going to be able to qualify for the guaranteed income supplement because she's making too much money. We go back to targeting the registered accounts to draw those down over time because we don't want to be left with a huge estate tax bill at the end of it. We can also keep topping up her TFSAs because now with this strategy, we have additional money in non-registered accounts that we can flip over to the tax-free savings account every year. So by implementing this strategy, her cash flow in retirement is now over 150%. So well more than what she needs based on her expenses. And her estate is now up to $5 million. So was there anything wrong with Sarah's original plan? Well, not really, in the sense that it would provide her with the cash flow she needed to do the things that she wanted to do, and she was leaving a sizable estate of $4 million. But this is the power of real planning. We changed a couple of things without having to change anything as far as investment returns are concerned, and we're able to increase her net estate by over $1 million. This is more money that she can choose to spend herself or to pass on to her kids and grandkids. But either way, again, the power of real planning is keeping more money in your pocket just by being as efficient as possible. So if you're wondering how this looks for your own situation, then check out our Atlas system. It's the exact process we use with clients to make sure that they're being as tax efficient as possible. Check it out using the link in the description. So $3 million is just a number. What really matters is how you manage it. And speaking of management, there's one tax trap that can quietly cost you a huge chunk of your retirement savings if you're not careful. That's exactly why I break it down in this next video. Click here to check it out.